Good morning and welcome to Mosaic. I'm Rabbi Eric Weiss and honored to be your host this morning. Faith communities across our country pay attention to all the ways in which its demographics are changing and all the ways in which to include people of all different kinds, race, class, sexual orientation. We'd like to invite you into a conversation within the Jewish community about LGBT leadership, and we'd like to have you meet Catherine Tick, who is the Director of Leadership Development at the Jewish Community Endowment and Federation of San Francisco, Marin, and Sonoma counties and the peninsula. And joining her is David Robinson, who is the Bay Area Director of Keshet, a national nonprofit that works on inclusion for LGBT Jews in the Jewish community. Welcome, Catherine and David.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, sir.
I know that the Jewish Community Federation and Keshet itself, a national nonprofit, have been working on the issue of how to pay attention to awareness and inclusion issues for LGBT Jews for decades now. And I want to just jump in and ask you, what's the latest iteration that's coming out of the Jewish Community Federation here in our Bay Area?
Thank you for asking, Eric. We started a program late last summer, called LGBTQ Pathways to Leadership. It's a leadership development program that was about a year and a half in its development and then launched in November, actually, technically, with 12 members in its initial cohort. The program was designed to bring folks who identify in the LGBTQ world to the table, the ostensible proverbial decision-making table. The idea really behind that was that we, as an inclusive, engaged community, want to make sure that we have representation from all of our Jewish community, including the LGBTQ community. The program is going to run about 9 months. The idea is to give people leadership skills, our participants' leadership skills, in order to have them ready, poised, and invited to then join boards and committees around our Jewish community and in the civic community and in the LGBT community, everything filtered, we hope, through our Jewish values and through their own leadership style. So this is sort of the tangible product of I've been at the Federation 3 years of our work, and we will be recruiting for our next cohort of Pathways participants starting in May, June. We'll be recruiting our next cohort. So that's sort of the latest, greatest.
So I know that for all of us in the Bay Area, we pay attention to the nomenclature of how we label ourselves and how we then refer to other folks in our community who are not like us, but we want to show that we have a level of respect with the language that we use. So before we go any further, why don't we just sort of outline LGBTQ and sort of just let folks know what those letters themselves mean. David?
Sure. So L stands for lesbian, G stands for gay, B stands for bisexual, T stands for transgender, which itself is an umbrella term that can include really a range of people who identify as having a gender that is different from the standard in our culture, which is male or female, and all male-bodied people having a male identity and all female-bodied people having a female identity. So transgender can include transsexuals who have had, for example, a sex change. It can include people who identify as just different in terms of gender in a variety of ways. And then the Q is queer, which used to be just a term of abuse, a derogatory term hurled at gay people or gender variant people, but it's been reclaimed, especially by younger people over the past 2 decades, and increasingly as a term that just signals being, again, different from the mainstream in terms of sex, sexuality, gender. So LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bi, trans, and queer.
So, Catherine, you mentioned that the Federation is embarking on this wonderful adventure of LGBTQ leadership development. It's called the Pathways Program. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about why, from a Jewish values and Jewish landscape perspective, do we in the Jewish community consider this to be worthy of our attention and cultivation?
The Jewish Community Federation really sees itself as a catalyst for change in the Jewish community. And if we are going to truly be inclusive and engage our Jewish community, we want to make sure we're including all of our Jewish community. So this program, the Pathways to Leadership program, came about because we saw a dearth of lay leaders, our volunteer leaders, at the Jewish Community Federation certainly, but also seen throughout the Jewish community, that dearth of LGBTQ lay leaders. We've had a beautiful representation, but a small representation, truthfully, of LGBT leaders, lay leaders, and we felt it was time to put energy into bringing in the next generation of lay leaders, so that when we, as a community, were making decisions at agencies, on boards, in committees, that we were really hearing all the voices of our community, not just those who happened to show up, and we needed to do some reflection and then due diligence and looking who isn't there, and then outreach and really concerted effort. What are we going to do to bring folks in? And we thought this was a way to offer our interested participants in this initial Pathways program a way in. Skill development, connections, information, knowledge about the Jewish community. So at the end, they are ready to join our decision-making organizations and really be a part of the community, not on the outside.
We're going to take a quick break. We need to just take a quick break, and we'll come back to your comment, David. Please join us just in a moment when we return to this wonderful conversation here on Mosaic.